All right. Hey, good morning, everyone. I came back to that nice little clear stream that I found. Very slow moving, very nice, very peaceful out here. Anyway, I came back here to finish the story of Jason and the Argonauts, or Jason and the Golden Fleece. And we are on. If you're looking, it's kind of we stopped at the very end of 168, page 168, where Jason had just um, sowed the seeds, the dragon teeth, and took on the bulls with the fire breathing and all that stuff. All right, so Jason at the bottom of 168. Jason had fulfilled his task, but King Aedes had no intention of keeping his part of the bargain. Remember, he said, we'll take care of this. Well, I'll go through all these challenges. We'll rid your area of bad animals or monsters or whatever, and we'll take the golden fleece. And the king said, sure. But then he did all these things, and then now the king is saying, no, I'm not giving you that. So King Aedes had no intention of keeping his part of the bargain, giving Jason the golden fleece. He called his men together and ordered them to seize the Argo, which is the big boat that they came in, and kill the foreigners at daybreak. In secrecy, Medea, remember she fell in love with Jason, she's King Aedes' daughter. Medea went to Jason and told him that he must take the golden fleece, now rightfully his, and flee from Colchis before dawn. Under cover of night, she led him to the dark grove where the golden fleece, shining like the sun, hung on a branch of a tree. Around the trunk of the tree lay coiled the never sleeping dragon, but Medea chanted incantations and bewitched the dragon. She stared at it with her golden eyes, and it fell into a deep magic sleep. Quickly, Jason took the golden fleece and ran with Medea to the waiting Argo, and quietly they slipped out to sea. At daybreak, when the king's men were to attack the ship, they found it was gone. So were the golden fleece and the king's daughter, Medea. Red-faced with fury, Aedes set off in pursuit with his great fleet of Colchian warships. He wanted the golden fleece back, and he wanted to punish his daughter. The fastest of his ships, steered by one of his sons, soon overtook the Argo. The Argonauts thought themselves lost, but again Medea saved them. She called to her brother, who stood at the helm of his ship, and pretended to be sorry for what she had done. She said she would go home with him if he would meet her alone on a nearby island. At the same time, she whispered to Jason to lie in wait and kill her brother when he came. She knew that her father would have to stop the pursuit to give his son a funeral. Okay, do you think this is going to go well? Even if they're successful in killing her brother, do you think the gods are going to like that? Okay, let's watch, or let's listen. Hera and all the gods looked in horror at Medea, stained with her brother's blood. No mortal could commit a worse crime than to cause the death of his own kin, his own family. Zeus in anger threw thunderbolts, lightning flashed, thunder roared, and the sea foamed. When the sacred piece of oak in the bow of the Argo spoke, woe, it said, woe to you all. Not a one among you will reach Greece unless the great sorceress Circe contents to purify Medea and Jason for their sin. Tossed about by howling winds and towering waves, the Argonauts sailed in search of Circe's dwelling. At long last, off the coast of Italy, they found her palace. Medea warned the Argonauts not to leave the ship, for Circe was a dangerous sorceress who amused herself by changing men who came to her island into the animals nearest the nature of each man. Some became lions, some rabbits, but most of them were changed into pigs and asses, meaning donkeys. Medea took Jason by the hand so no harm would befall him, and went ashore. Circe was Medea's aunt. Like all the descendants of Helios the sun, she had a golden glint in her eyes, and the moment she saw Medea, she recognized her as her kin. But she was not happy to see her niece, for though her magic, I'm sorry, for through her magic, She knew what Medea had done. Still, she consented to sacrifice to Zeus and ask him to forgive Medea and Jason for their crime. She scented smoke of her burned offerings of sweet meats and cakes reached Zeus and put him in a good humor. He listened to Circe's words and again smiled down upon Medea and Jason. They thanked Circe and rushed back to the ship. The Argonauts rejoiced. Now they could set sail for Greece, but still they had to pass through the dangerous and bewitched waters. Soon they came to the island of the Sirens. The Sirens were half birds, half women, not loathsome like the Harpies, but enchanting creatures. They sat on a cliff half hidden by sea spray and sang so beautifully that all sailors who heard them dived into the sea and tried to swim to them, only to drown or pine to death at the Sirens' feet. When the alluring voices of the Sirens reached the ears of the Argonauts, Orpheus grasped his lyre and sang so loudly and sweetly that all other sounds were drowned out, and not one of the Argonauts jumped overboard. After a while, the Argo had to sail through a narrow strait that was guarded by two monsters. On one side lurked the monster Scylla. From her waist up, she looked like a woman, but instead of legs, 6 furious snarling dogs grew out from her hips, and they tore to pieces whatever came close to them. The monster Charybdis lived on the other side of the strait. She was forever hungry and sucked into her gullet all ships that ventured within her reach. Helplessly, the Argo drifted between the two monsters, and the Argonauts again gave themselves up for lost when up from the bottom of the sea rose the playful Nereids. They had come at Hera's bidding, and they lifted up the Argo and threw it from hand to hand over the dangerous waters until it reached the open sea beyond. Poseidon called for the west wind, and the Argo sped homeward under full sail. A loud cheer rang out from the valiant crew when they sighted the shore of Greece. They had been away for many long years and were homesick. But as the Argo neared the port of Iolcus, the ship was hailed by a fisherman who warned Jason that King Peleus had heard of his safe return and had made plans to kill him. Jason was downcast at his uncle's treachery, but Medea, her eyes flashing, asked to be set ashore alone. Once again, she wanted to save his life. Disguised as an old witch, she entered Iolcus, saying that she had magic herbs to sell that would make old creatures young again. The people crowded around her, wondering from where the witch had come. King Peleus himself came out from his palace and asked her to prove what she said was true, for he felt he was growing old. "Bring me the oldest ram in your flock, and I will show you the magic of my herbs," said Medea. An old ram was brought to her, and she put it into the cauldron full of water. On top, she sprinkled some of her magic herbs, and lo, the water in the cauldron boiled, and out of the steam and bubbles sprang a frisky young lamb. Now King Peleus asked Medea to make him young too. She answered that only his daughters could do that, but she would gladly sell them her magic herbs. But the herbs she gave them had no magic at all, and so King Peleus found his death in the boiling cauldron at his own daughter's hands. Now the throne of Iolcus was Jason's, but again, Medea had committed a terrible crime. She had tricked innocent daughters into killing their own father. The gods turned from her, and she changed from a lovely young sorceress into an evil witch. The people of Iolcus refused to accept her for their queen and took another king in Jason's stead. So Jason didn't even get to be king. They got rid of him too. With the loss of his throne, Jason also lost his love for Medea. He forgot that he had sworn to love her till his dying day, and that she had committed her crimes for his sake. He asked her to leave so he could marry the princess of Corinth and inherit her father's kingdom. Medea, scorned and furious, turned more and more to evil sorcery. To revenge herself on Jason, she sent a magic robe to his new bride. It was a beautiful gown, but the moment the bride put it on, she went up in flames and so did the whole palace. Then Medea disappeared into a dark cloud, riding in a carriage drawn by two dragons. Jason found no more happiness, for when he broke his sacred oath to Medea, he lost Hera's goodwill. His good looks left him, and so did his luck and his friends. Lonesome and forgotten, he sat one day in the shade of his once glorious ship, the Argo, now rotting on the beach of Corinth. Suddenly, the sacred piece of oak in the prow, remember the oak that can talk at the very front of the ship, broke off, fell on him, and killed him. So he's sitting there underneath it in the shade going, oh, I feel sorry for myself. And then all of a sudden the prow broke and landed on him and killed him. Fell on him and killed him. The golden fleece was hung in Apollo's temple in Delphi, a wonder for all Greeks to behold and a reminder of the great deeds of Jason and the Argonauts. Still a sad story. Didn't turn out too well for Jason. All right, guys, that was it. That was the second half of our story, Jason on the Argonauts. There are lots of movies throughout history that kind of chronicle that story. Anyway, that is the end of it. Good luck with everything. We're almost done with the book. We'll be done a couple days. We'll be done by Thursday. All right. See you guys. Nice talking to you. Bye-bye.